within a week. I know a big company in the Netherlands where I come from. They have 1,200 employees, and they launched a project 4 years ago to eliminate internal emails, and they succeeded. It took them 3 years, but their internal email is at 0. So that took them 3 years for 1,200 people to get there. But if you have email as primary so-called productivity and collaboration tool, I think it's a very good idea to have at least some email etiquette. And I'll just give you a couple of examples of what should be in email etiquettes. Put in a clear subject. So don't pick an old email on a totally different subject and click reply all and leave the subject in, because that is confusing for the recipients. And please break with the tradition of CC and distribution lists. Really think about who really needs to know this. Forward the conversation. So that means that you try to be a contribution to the organization when you send out an email. And make sure if you reply that you have read the whole email and not only the first line. Some of these seems very logical to be accurate, complete, and to the point. Check your inbox, or no, even better, check your sent items and review the last 25 emails you have sent, and confront yourself with, have you been accurate? Have you been complete? Have you been to the point? So, and then we have the wonderful thing of primary reactions. So you receive an email, you get upset, you hit the reply all button, you machine gun on your keyboard, and you hit send. That is probably not forwarding the conversation. It is probably not a contribution to your organization. I always use a example outside of my organization, but in my family, because my sister, she can really trigger me to do that. She knows how to push my buttons. So whenever she sends an email to me and it's about my other sister or about my mother, there's things in there and I get upset. So I hit reply and I start typing, and within 30 seconds I hit reply, hit send. And probably that's not a good idea. So if something is upsetting you in a received email, wait a while with replying. That probably works better. Then in a couple of more things that should actually sit in your email etiquette. You should ask for a reply or an action, and by when, or just say no response required. So if you do a request and you say, hey, can you do that for me? Specify what that person should be doing and by when you expect confirmation or by when you expect it to be done. That's more of the same of being accurate, complete, and to the point. Then also have it clear in your organization within what time frames mails should be answered. So I can get very upset if I send out an email with a request and I just don't get an answer. I don't get an answer, period. And then I can make that other person wrong, but hey, for us it is not clear in our organization what we have agreed upon when it comes to time frames when mail should be answered. And listen, an answer can be very simple. An answer can be, hey, I cannot answer this question right now for you, but let me get back to you tomorrow at 10. Something like that. So be collaborative, be productive for your organization. And in the perspective of forwarding the conversation, don't just reject a request. Sorry, I cannot do this now. That is not a reply. That is not forwarding the conversation. Offer a different proposal or a solution. No, I cannot make that meeting Friday morning at 10 o'clock, but I can make it Friday morning at 9 o'clock. You know that meeting requests, you have the option when you reply to propose new time. That's a good option. Or even better, the sender, when you create a meeting, there's something called the scheduling assistant. Look in the scheduling assistant to see if people are available before you send the invitation. Then we have two little small Outlook features that some people really love to use. Please do not ask for a read confirmation. Because it doesn't confirm that you have actually read it, it only confirms that you opened the email. And as I stated previously, a lot of people only read the first sentence of an email and then they close it again, or they start a reply. So it adds nothing, the read confirmation. And then for internal email, please do not add attachments. Specifically not if you email to multiple persons, because you all sit in the same network and you're only multiplying that same content into 8 or 9 or maybe 12 different places. So just think about that before you add an attachment and before you hit the send button. On the last page in the Q&A, I have an email link and a hyperlink to one of my personal blogs, and it's more on this email etiquette thing. It's called Email Senders Stop Doing That. So maybe it's an interesting read. But even better than having email etiquette and some common sense in using your Outlook and your email, think outside of your inbox when it comes to productivity and collaborations. There is way better options nowadays available to really be productive and to really be collaborating with your coworkers. So I have a couple of options, and this list is not complete. We're just gonna look very brief at least one of them, but again, you should realize that, hey, isn't it better to use that? So in SharePoint, you can co-author real time in the same document. So it makes no sense to send that document as an attachment to someone. You can just via Skype invite a person and say, hey, open that document and let's have a look at that document together. And then you can edit that document together instead of sending it back and forth. I know a lot of organizations have some kind of instant messaging application. So within Inova, we use Skype for Business. You can use Skype Consumer or whatever. That may be faster and more simple than sending out emails. There is something like persistent chat. I will show you that in a minute when I do my demo on the Microsoft Teams. So instant messaging is not really persistent chat. When you close, then it's closed. And persistent chat means that you can always go back to an existing thread and add something to it. Yammer. So for people who don't know Yammer, I always call Yammer Facebook for Business. So it works like Facebook, but it's for your local organization only. It's not publicly accessible. Then there is something in Office 365 that's called Delve. So Delve is a very, very nice find engine. So we all know search engines, but we don't want search engines, we want find engines, and Delve is one of them. Of course, we have Skype. We have Office 365 groups, and Microsoft recently introduced Microsoft Teams, which is based on the Office 365 groups, and I will do a short demo on that one in just a minute. We have plain old telephony, so you can call somebody instead of dropping an email. And what about good old-fashioned face-to-face? I've been in office situations where people sit opposite of each other and they are emailing each other. That makes no sense. That is just that For me, that doesn't make sense. Do it face to face. And if you have something to confirm and you want to save that, then at the end of the conversation, hey, maybe one of the two persons can send an email, hey, this is what we just decided on. So let me see, I'm going to share my desktop now and do a very short demo with Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is a new program by Microsoft that's part of Office 365. Oh, and there we see Christian. He sits in Trinidad. He's my colleague. So we're now actually in a meeting within Teams. So this is not a Skype meeting. This is a Teams meeting. And in Teams, where are we? We are in general. So that is, in which group are we sitting? Well, it doesn't really matter. So in here, no, let's take another one. Let's take IT policies. So here you see an example of persistent chat. I can always scroll back and reply to something that somebody put in there a while ago. It will be there forever. And then we have a section with files. And we even have a section with oh, we have no files in here. Let's see if we have notes in here. So we go to OneNote Online, and I can just start my note. So this is a great place for real-time collaboration with my colleagues in smaller groups. I think that Microsoft Teams it is almost generally available in Office 365. You can add it as an admin in your admin portal. If you hit the button that you want to have the previews as well. So for now it's still a preview, but Microsoft will be rolling it out, and I think this is really a tremendous application. I've been using it now for 2 or 3 months, and I start living in Microsoft Teams instead of in Outlook and SharePoint. So that's really a very nice thing. So now let's see if I can switch back to our PowerPoint. Oh, we don't want to do that. So that was really very brief on Microsoft Teams, but just for time's sake, we need to move on. But I just gave you one example that it's actually possible to collaborate with people without Outlook. You should try it one day. Just say, hey, this is one day that we are going to work without email, and let's see what that does for business and what does it do for your time. Oh. So now we come to a difficult question, because how do you make that happen within your organization? How does that work? So that example that I gave of that company that took 3 years to eliminate internal emails, how does that work? So, of course, first you need to agree upon it with a team, a department, or even your entire organization. And it's not going to happen if managers don't take a lead in there. So I'm an IT guy, and I know from my experience that this has nothing to do with IT. If management does not endorse such transformations, and if they do not lead by example, then it's not going to happen. So if there's any managers on the line and in the call, and you want to try this out, then you must be the first to actually do this. And of course you want to know if it is working for your organization. So you should create some measurable outcomes to check if productivity and collaboration actually improve. And I don't know how much time you spend in your mailbox. There is a wonderful feature now available in Office 365 as well that's called My Analytics. And in My Analytics, you can see exactly how many hours a day you spend in Outlook. Because everything is being measured. So as soon as you have, on your desktop you have focus on Outlook, the clock starts ticking. And of course, you need some discipline in using the agreed upon tools. It's almost automatically that if you want to communicate something to a colleague, it's almost automatically that you write an email. No, be disciplined and use the tools that you agreed upon within your team that you want to use. And you need to train and learn by doing, and you need to be curious, and then you'll grow into the adoption of such new ways of working, because it's all about new ways of working. And try to have, how do we say that, positive feedback. So coach your colleagues and don't make them wrong. Don't say, hey, you stupid, we agreed that we wouldn't email anymore and now you send me an email. No, that's not good coaching. That is making the other person wrong. And that's probably not gonna last for very long. This is also something in your organization that you should be aware of. I took this picture from the internet, of course, and it shows collaboration and communication preferences of people of different ages. So when you look at Outlook email on the 4th line and you go to the most right column, so the Generation Z people, the young people, they don't know what email is. They see email the same way that the older people here in the webinar, we don't write handwritten letters anymore, business letters. We don't do that anymore. Well, the younger generation, they don't email. They use WhatsApp and Facebook and Pinterest and Tumblr and what have you. But you really have to call them or send them a WhatsApp message. Hey, I send you an email. So that is counterproductive if you have to notify someone that you send them an email. Well, it happens with email as well. That people will call you, hey, I just sent you an email, why didn't you reply? Or even worse, people will call you and say, hey, I'm going to send you an email. That's adds nothing to the conversation. So bear this in mind, because you have people of all generations probably in your organization, and they all have their own preferences on how they want to collaborate and how they want to be productive. But you must as IT department and also as management, you must be able to support all of your employees in the way that they prefer to work. And you see that the differences are huge between different generations. Really huge. So keep that in mind. I mean, don't force, because people, then we get the nasty thing of shadow IT. So then people will find their own way outside of IT to collaborate. So I really hate, as an IT manager, I really hate WhatsApp for business purposes, because it's out of my control. I have nothing to say about what people send and receive in WhatsApp. Whereas they would use instant messaging out of Skype for Business. Hey, Skype for Business, I have something to say about that as an IT admin. I can control that. So keep this picture in mind. It's a pretty nice picture. So I made it exactly in half an hour. So before I start answering questions, over here you see 3 hyperlinks. Well, actually you see 6, but 3 on the bottom. So I put in 2 links to 2 of my blogs. One is about cloud adoption, where to start, the CEO. That's an interesting article. And the second one I already referenced. It's about mail senders stop doing that. Some more on email etiquette and stuff like that. And the bottom one is a very nice blog post on the future of collaboration is Microsoft Teams, the little application I just showed you. This whole PowerPoint deck is downloadable for all of you as a PDF file. I shared that, so you can try to find that, and then you can download the whole PowerPoint presentation as a PDF file in PDF format.
Thank you, Jasper. And if people can find it, we will be sending all the decks and notes, etc. via email. So in our thank you email. Before we continue to the Q&A, I would like to encourage you to fill in our very small survey. I have shared the link in our chat window. Also, I encourage, if you have a question, please unmute your mic. It's always nice to hear some other voices than us. But I have, so to keep rolling this Q&A, I have a question, right? So you gave some tips how to manage your inbox, but how to make it a culture? Because you said, okay, it has to start with the manager, but still if I take Inova an example, we have been a couple of years already in Office 365, but what is the main tip that you can give? Most of our attendees are IT managers. So what is the main tip that you can give them to start rolling this productivity tools?
So I think not only this one, but so what organizations need is that there is some kind of document created. This is how we work, and that is what we agree upon. So if I send you an email and you don't reply me, I make you wrong. But if we have an agreement that we reply to emails within 48 hours, then for the first 48 hours I cannot make you wrong, but because you're doing nothing wrong. But if you don't reply me after 48 hours, then I can say, hey, didn't we agree that we reply to emails within 48 hours?
Okay, so it's clear, just to make some agreements within the entire company. Correct.
Yeah, I have that in that other slide as well. Where is it? That's in this one. But how? You have to agree upon it with a team.
Yes.
As a team, you have to agree, this is how we do this.
All right, thank you.
And then we go into the, let's close this one. Then we go into the discipline, and you go into the training and the learning by doing, and we go into the coaching. But first you need to agree upon what is the way we work. If that is not done, and if that agreement is not endorsed by the team leader or the department manager or the CEO or whatever, then it's not going to happen.
Point made. So another question: if companies are not still in the Office 365 environment where they have SharePoint, etc., because one of the things you mentioned is that people have to stop sending attachment. That's very difficult for some organizations because it has since 1987 we've been doing so, right, Jasper? So yep. What is the tip? What is the tip for companies that has no online like SharePoint? How can they still manage to send. So, yeah, okay,
so as long as we talk about internal emails, because I was referring mostly to internal emails, you don't need SharePoint. If your files sit in a file server, you can also send a link to the file instead of attaching the file. Because then the file sits in the H drive / finance department / documents or whatever, and you can make a link out of that as well. So you send a link, so then there is only one single copy of that file sitting in that file server instead of multiplying it into all possible inboxes.
Yes, all right, no, got that.
And externally, of course, to your customers, yes, I mean, that's the hard part to eliminate email with your customers or your suppliers or whatever. No, but I think that the bigger the organization, so if you have an organization with about 100 people, then I bet that 60% of emails is internal email. So if you can reduce that, only 30% or 40% of existing emails keep on existing.
All right. Hey, Jasper, so Erica, thank you for your question. We have Erica asking if would Jasper expand on the point of break tradition of CC and distribution list? I am not clear why these should be a reduction elimination of this nor the alternative options.
Okay, so let's start with the distribution list. So a distribution list is a group of people, and sometimes it's good, and really all those people need to have that information. But if you really look at it closely, I think that only 30% of emails that are sent to a distribution list are actually relevant for all the members of the distribution list. But it's a habit. We just think, let's send it to the distribution list managers. And one of the reasons you should be careful with that is maybe not even that initial email, but then we come to our second habit, and that is where everybody starts hitting reply all. And then within no time on a maybe very small, insignificant topic, you create in your organization hundreds of emails, and that's not productive. We're talking about productivity. How can we be more productive? So break with the tradition of distribution lists. I mean with that, before you hit the send button, is this what I'm sending now? Is this really relevant information for all these recipients? Because there's plenty of tools out there to manage your inbox. No, but the whole harmful thing with email doesn't begin with your inbox, it begins with the senders. The recipients are just harmless. They can do nothing about it. I hate it when you vomit in the serenity of my empty inbox. But I can stop you. You can send me 1,000 emails a day and I cannot stop you. Yes, I can block sender, but then I'll never receive an email from you anymore.
No, we don't.
And then on the carbon copy, what carbon copy? I mean, I showed you the rule that people make. And I know a lot of people, especially managers, who have that rule. If I'm in the CC field, delete the email. So it makes absolutely no sense. Carbon copy for your information. People don't even read the stuff. So whenever you send an email or whenever you send anything to anybody or create a report or whatever, you should realize, is the content of this relevant for the recipient?
May I add something to that, Jasper?
Yeah.
So I've had the same question basically to myself, what Erica is asking us, and what I found is imperative that it is you need to have an alternative, so that information that you want to send out to everybody, it needs to sit somewhere else before you can start eliminating the email about it. So what we've an example done.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So it's part of agree upon with a team. So the slide you are seeing now, agree upon with a team where you store that information. So the goal on productivity and collaboration to really improve that is to move away from push information and go towards pull information. Make sure that all people can find relevant, up-to-date information very easy, instead of shoving it down their inboxes. And really also in that situation, make sure that there's relevant information in there. I once won a consultancy deal, and when I shook hands with the person, he said to me, "Don't tell me anything I already know." And then I said to him, "Okay, so you want a 12-page report instead of the standard 84-page report?" And he said, "You understand, I want a 12-page report, and leave out all the blah, 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 because that's not relevant information. I already know that." So that's be to the point, be accurate.
Yes, Jasper, I'd like to wrap up a bit. We are exactly on schedule with many people are still of course in the participant list. And if you have questions, people, you can email us based on this or any other. I do invite you to get in a conversation, because there's way more discussions and conversations to be had about this topic. And additionally, I'd like to add just an example that, for instance, asking someone per email if he could do something for you. So, for instance, if I ask my colleague to create a white paper or a quotation, a proposal for a customer, I don't need to send that per email. And many people ask favor or actually tasks from other people per email. We are completely shifting that to a CRM environment where we would just create a task, relevant information in the task, and assign that task to someone else, so that you eliminate the concept of email around that request to a colleague. That is because people have difficulties managing their inbox, and that task may get lost somewhere, and then you have to ask again, and probably you will do it per email. So that's not really an effective way of organizing your requests towards your colleagues, and having a portal like a CRM will be way more easier to manage. So, having said that, I'd like to wrap up. I would thank everybody to join us today. Note that next month we have another topic at our hands, and do invite you to come back.
I'll show that one, because we already know the topic.
Thank you.
That's this one.
Well, I see a slide that says email etiquette, and there's a nice red drawn line. I'm not sure if it's my side.
Then you're walking behind.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting on slide 13 now. Unleash the power of hybrid cloud.
Okay.
That's
it's probably my screen that lags. So I do trust that everybody sees the proper screen.
I had that too, and it said I'm watching a private presentation. Then I clicked out of the way, and then I went to Jasper's slide again.
Oh, okay. So, well, I'm still at the blue screen with a red drawn line on it.
Okay,
right,
I have the good one in front of me. So everyone, the next webinar is February 23rd. It's about Unleash the Power of Hybrid Cloud. We will be sending you, of course, the invitation as normal, and we're happy to have you again next month. Thank you for being in this webinar, and I'll see you next month.
Yeah, on top of that, Adriana, again, everybody, there's a link in the chat box that invites you to leave your comments and a review. Please let us know how what you thought about this webinar and the sessions in general. And any questions on this topic, please email it in the email Adriana shared. And for now, thanks everyone, and see you next month.
Okay, thank you all.